Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something that changed my life. Something I used to hide. Something that started with fear, but ended with confidence. I used to talk to myself. In English. Every night. Alone. It may sound strange, but it was the only way I could learn. The only way I could find my voice. Let me tell you my story. I was 19 when it began. A university student. Just like many others, quiet, shy, scared of being wrong. I lived in a small town in Pakistan, where English was something we learned from books but rarely used in real life. In my English class, everyone seemed better than me. When the teacher asked questions, they answered fast. When we had to give presentations, they laughed and talked like actors. And me? I froze. I remember the worst day. We had to present in pairs. I had prepared for a week. I memorized my part. Practiced it again and again. I thought I was ready. But when it was my turn, I stood up, and my voice disappeared. Totally. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. Not a word. My partner looked at me, confused. The class waited. The teacher raised her eyebrows. My hands began to shake. My heart pounded like it was going to burst. Someone in the back giggled. She's just pretending. She doesn't know anything. That laugh. It stayed with me for days. After class, I went to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and cried. I hated myself. Not because I was bad at English, but because I knew the words. I knew them. I just couldn't say them out loud. Why was I like this? That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed up searching online. I typed, how to speak English without fear. How to practice English alone. I can read and write but can't speak. Then, I found something. A blog post from a girl in Japan. She had the same problem. And she found a solution. Shadowing. I didn't know the word before. But she explained it. Shadowing is listening to English and repeating it right away. Out loud. Like you're the echo. She said she used YouTube videos, movies, TV shows. She shadowed every day. Even in the bathroom. Even while walking home. I read her words again and again. I thought, maybe this can help me too. I felt hope for the first time in weeks. The next night, I waited for my parents to sleep. I closed my door, plugged in my earphones, opened YouTube. I searched how to order coffee in English. I found a short clip of a woman ordering at a cafe. She said, "Hi. I'd like a medium cappuccino, please." Simple. Clear. Confident. I paused. I stood in front of the mirror. And I whispered, "Hi. I'd like a medium cappuccino, please." I cringed. My voice sounded fake. Weird. But I tried again. "Hi. I'd like a medium cappuccino, please." Then again. And again. And again. After 20 minutes, I wasn't whispering anymore. I was speaking. Not perfectly. Not fluently. But I was doing it. And I smiled. Because it felt like I had finally opened a door. I made shadowing my habit. Every night after dinner, I went into my room, closed the door, and practiced. Sometimes I used movies. Sometimes TED Talks. Sometimes I copied vloggers talking about makeup, travel, school. One day, I watched a video about job interviews. Tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? I paused the video and looked at myself in the mirror. Tell me about yourself, I said, pretending to be the interviewer. Then I switched roles. Well, I said, fixing my hair like I was in an office. I'm a dedicated student with a strong interest in communication skills. I laughed at myself. It was silly. But it helped. Every day, I became a little braver. I practiced ordering food. I practiced asking for directions. I practiced introducing myself. I even pretended to be on the phone with an English friend. Hey, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just studying. What about you? It was like acting. And I was the director, the actor, and the audience, all in one. 3 weeks passed. Then 4. Then 2 months. Something amazing started to happen. My tongue stopped fighting me. My lips moved naturally. I could say full sentences without stuttering or stopping. And the biggest change? I believed myself. When I spoke English to the mirror, I no longer sounded like a girl pretending. I sounded real. Sometimes I even laughed during practice. I'd say something silly like, "Excuse me, can I get 20 donuts and a large orange juice, please?" Then I'd answer myself, 20? Are you sure? I was having fun. In English. And for the first time in my life, I started to feel proud of it. One morning in class, our teacher announced a surprise. "Next week," she said, "you'll give short solo presentations in English. Just 3 minutes. No notes." The class groaned. I froze. A few months ago, I would have panicked. I would have thought of excuses. "I'm sick, I forgot. Can I go last?" But this time? I was scared, but also excited. I thought, maybe this is the moment I've been waiting for. So I chose my topic. How I practice English alone. For the next 7 days, I practiced in front of the mirror. I walked around my room giving my speech like I was on a TED stage. I pretended to look at an audience. To make eye contact. To smile. Every sentence came from me, from the girl who used to hide. The day arrived. I was 3rd on the list. As the second student finished, I felt my heart pounding again. But it was different now. It wasn't fear. It was energy. I walked to the front. I looked at the class. And I said, "Hi, everyone. Today, I want to tell you how I learned English, by talking to myself." A few people laughed softly. Not in a bad way. More like surprise. I smiled and continued. Every night, I stand in front of my mirror. I watch YouTube videos. I repeat what they say. I pretend I'm ordering coffee, going to interviews, talking to friends. I told them everything. The fear. The silence. The discovery of shadowing. The mirror. And when I finished, the room was quiet for a second. Then, clap. Clap. Clap, clap, clap. My teacher stood up. "That," she said, "was the most honest, clear, and inspiring presentation I've seen all year." I sat down, hand shaking. But not from fear, from joy. I had done it. I had spoken. Not just with words, but with belief. A week later, something unexpected happened. A classmate came up to me after school. She was the same girl who once laughed during my silent moment months ago. She looked nervous. And then she said, "Hey, I watched a video last night. About shadowing. I wanted to ask, can you show me how you practice?" I blinked. She was asking me. Me. The girl who once hid in bathrooms. I nodded and smiled. "Sure," I said. "Let's start with ordering coffee." Now I talk to myself every day. Not because I'm lonely, but because it works. I record myself. I shadow podcasts. I even do mock interviews in English, for fun. I help others too. I've made videos. Shared tips. Some people laugh at the idea. Talking to yourself? That's weird. But I just smile. Because I know the truth. Sometimes the best conversations are the ones you have with yourself. Quiet ones. Late at night. In front of the mirror. That's where confidence is born. So if you're afraid to speak, if your voice disappears, if people laugh when you try, don't give up. Talk to yourself. In your room. In the bathroom. While washing dishes. Be your own teacher. Be your own student. Be your first listener. It doesn't matter how silly it feels. Or how many times you fail. Because one day, You'll walk into a room, open your mouth, and surprise everyone, even yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it inspires you to start speaking, even if you have to begin alone. Especially if you have to begin alone.